All
Hello.
right, welcome. This is a conversation, PeakD, with Ryzeonline. I suppose I said that correctly.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got some people live in the channel. It's just mainly going to be me and Ryzeonline chatting. Uh, if you are watching live, you can join the AMA text channel. We will try to read comments or messages there, perhaps questions. Also, maybe sunshine online.
Sunshine.
Maybe she'll jump in to if there's any particularly interesting questions to help us out if we forget to read the AMA text channel. Um,
Thanks, Sin.
and we are going to go through some of the new changes that we have on PeakD, and we are going to go through a post done by Ryzeonline and go through some of his thoughts on where he'd like to see an interface for the Hive blogging, where he'd like to see that go as well. So let me go to that post, and I suppose you are still seeing the interface. Is that correct? I mean
Yeah,
the
I see
screen
your
sharing.
screen. You got the grid up there.
Okay, great. If you're watching live, you'll need to select to view the screen sharing if you want to follow along with what we're doing. I'm going to do a search for Rise here, go to his post, and go to this post. All right. Well, and thanks for joining us, of course, Rise. And we're, yeah,
Thanks for having me.
excited to have you here. We have all gone through your post. We like it. There are some things that, as you said, you're just throwing out a lot of ideas. Some things
Yeah,
are obviously easier said than done. Some things are great, and maybe there's some compromises we can find as we go through it.
sure.
Um, I want to go through just for a moment because maybe other people are watching now and just trying to, get a feel for this. But we really do want to position ourselves as a place with true ownership. So every time we talk to someone, um, including large content creators, and just as background from me, I've been a photographer for many years, involved a lot with social media, but more than that, I became very involved in the YouTube community. Though I decided to not like pursue YouTube very much myself, like I became very good friends, like really good friends with a lot of well-known YouTubers. So at one time I counted over 20 YouTubers that have over a million subscribers. And so when I think of this sort of place and site, I often think of them in mind because I hear that, I stay at their houses when I travel. I'm, go to their weddings and friends with them and we have conversations. And so I kind of have that perspective of hearing their conversations and going to their conferences and stuff like that. And
Makes sense.
so that's maybe a little bit my perspective, obviously, as well. The photography perspective, the artist perspective coming from that world personally and having lots of friends in that realm. I know a decent amount of bloggers, but not a ton. Obviously, in my 3 years on Hive, starting off with Steemit, and the Steam blockchain, and then we created Steam Peak, and then we moved over to Hive, and my introduction was blockchain. I thought blockchain was awesome, and I was like, oh, here's a blockchain that does. I could post my photography, and then I met with Asgarth, who was also into photography, and we interacted on the photo games, which I helped create years ago
Yeah, that's cool.
before any of this existed. And so yeah, so that's our we both love photography and we both love blockchain. And so anyways, back to this. It's all about, for us, true ownership. So decentralize social media with true ownership. And the ability, we even could, as far as I know, we could even say, hey, look, we are pretty much the largest decentralized social media interface with that allows for true ownership. Like it's built
that
on
would be good
blockchain,
marketing.
which is sad to say because we're not necessarily huge right now.
Well,
It could be much
you're the biggest, so.
bigger. We're still the biggest, which is still kind of fun.
Yeah.
Just barely beating out Hiveblog, and we don't consider Steam it as having these qualifications because they are not decentralized. So
yeah, I agree.
And then you have others like Minds and other things that are fun platforms, but they also aren't really built on a decentralized blockchain. So anyways, true ownership, decentralization, and we consider ourselves a partner. Like it's an interesting connection with those that use this platform. So when I'm talking to these large content creators, I say, look, our relationship changes with you because you own everything. You own your data. Your connections are yours. Your content is yours. And if you create a community, it is your community. You own it. So our relationship with you changes. We are no longer overlords that tell you what you can and can't do. We are now, hey, what do you want for your interface, for your community? What can we do for you? So that whole partnership changes. When we originally started, we our main design principle was intuitive design. So we want
intuitive design.
So we want there to not have to be videos and blog posts explaining how and what to do.
I totally agree.
We recognize people should just intuitively know where to go and what to do. It is it's going to be an ongoing fight to provide that because we also want people to have control. Like they should be making the end decisions, right? So freedom is not really freedom if you only have one choice. So the power to do, like if this whole idea of blockchain is to be able to do what you need to do, then it's about like having choices. So there is a bit of a give and take there, where we want them to have choice because that gives them freedom and power to control their own destiny. But sometimes too many choices is overwhelming and it's not intuitive sometimes, and it's a little bit much. So there's going to be some give and take there. So we aren't necessarily the Apple style of design where it's like you do this, you get this, and you have no choices, right? Because
sure. So let me ask you a question about this. I like this philosophy, but so I have a question. You're a fairly experienced photographer, right?
Yes.
So you've probably used beginner cameras and advanced cameras.
Yes.
True?
Yes.
Right. And like a camera with that gives a lot of freedom and a lot of power and has all these, like you can control the exposure and the f-stops and the ISO, and you can control all kinds of things and the zoom timings and everything, right?
Yeah.
But when you put that camera into a beginner's hand, what happens?
Yeah. You tell them to get a smartphone.
Right. But what would be
so they don't have
to
worry about all those things.
Right.
Yeah.
But what would be ideal though is a camera that you could put in a beginner's hands or an advanced person's hands, and it would be so intuitive that the beginner would, like, they just press the big button and they press the big flash and they'd be fine. But if they wanted to explore, like on the far side of the camera, there's like a bunch of little buttons. If they wanted to, they could start exploring those, but they're generally out of the way and they're not intuitively put there. So only the advanced person. So the tool can cater to both by how the tool is designed. Does that make sense?
We agree completely, and we hope to start changing some menus and especially settings so that people recognize what's for them and what is more advanced, by even maybe labeling things advanced. Like this, you
Well, I
don't have to
mean,
worry about because it says advanced on it. So don't worry about it. And maybe here's a link to something for you to learn if you feel like it, but it's called advanced. And if you don't think you're advanced, why should you
don't
care?
click it.
Yeah.
Yeah, very true.
So you'll see a bunch of that in what we're going to share even today.
Cool.
Some more of that's coming. But yeah, we agree. So, and it's funny when people mention this because Facebook, believe it or not, has an insane amount of settings
Yeah,
that no one ever uses, but they're
correct.
there. And it's Facebook is very complicated if you get down into it, but most people don't ever touch that stuff.
Correct.
Um, YouTube for most people, especially the viewer, is very simple. But I go to those conferences where people spend an entire week learning YouTube as a content creator.
Yep.
They spend thousands of dollars to go to the conference, and then they spend 8 to 10 hours a day going to lessons to learn all about the intricacies, not just about settings, but about how to
Yep.
be very efficient. And I feel like you have talked about this in your posts about how, look, you need to actually put effort and learn and be a good writer. You want people to read your stuff? Have a compelling, be better at your craft.
Yeah, man.
I know that we aren't a platform of professionals that know what they're doing yet. It's a lot of people playing around in the field and a lot of amateurs writing things, and they, there's not a lot of professional writers here or professional
Right.
video makers, and that's fine. They
But
will come. I've told my friends to wait for a while until we get to the point where we're really, I don't want them to come in and leave. You know, we're
yeah,
not necessarily,
I get it.
PeakD has done zero marketing, and that was on purpose.
Sure.
We will start, and the hope is later this year. So, all right. So there's the design kind of principles and stuff like that. So I think we're in line there. Anything else you want to say about that before we move on to look at some pages?
I think we're in agreement.
Perfect. And it sounds like we're in agreement with, you know, kind of the type of people we recognize are here and hoping
Yeah.
to attract and hoping to make them, you know, help them. It seems like you're doing a lot of education to help people become
Yeah.
better.
I want to turn amateurs into pros. Like anyone can become a pro. It's not rocket science.
So is that why you spend so much time writing those posts? Like, what's the interest there? You just want to see
My,
Hive do well? You want to,
yeah,
you
my,
love,
my passion is to rise people up. My name is Ryzeonline. And I just want everyone to be better, man. Better humans, better creators, better content creators, better marketers, better consumers. I'm making a post today on art because I want people to be better artists. So
mm-hmm.
we'll
Yeah.
see.
One quick thing, and it's going to impact some of the design, and I don't think I'm gonna guess we're probably not far off, but there was a post where you talked a little bit um, about what was it, the Hive reward pool and earnings and stuff like that. Maybe that was, and there was a discussion by another user, Lord Butterfly or whatever. Um, and I've been a proponent of, look, that is one method of the Hive reward pool is just something that also exists on Hive blockchain. It is not the reason behind the Hive blockchain. It may not exist in years from now. It's just a perk. It's just
Yeah, I
something
totally get that.
interesting. It's a way to distribute it in the inflation of the Hive token, and there are other ways to inflate the inflation of the Hive token, but the Hive reward pool is just one thing. The
Yeah, I totally agree.
When we talk to content creators again about true ownership, down in the list there's also, oh, by the way, get rewarded, but it should not the concept of decentralization means that there shouldn't be so much focus on one particular thing. Look, there's the reward pool, which also looks like there's a bug here. That should be down here, or these should be up here. Anyways,
you put all the focus on the true ownership. That's what's leading the way on your page, and it's what you started the conversation with.
Yeah.
You like to put all the focus on true ownership. Some other company or some other brand might like to put all the focus on their rewards pool or their money or whatever. Like, I don't really care. It's just every company or every brand or every project can put whatever they want front and center. I don't have a dog in this fight or anything. Like, I don't get why people got all bent out of shape. I honestly don't care what people put front and center.
And I wouldn't say all focus, because decentralization means there should be lots of focus. There should be a lot there for everyone. And inside the get rewarded, there should be focus. Yeah, there should be several things. So we want to see focus on tips, ads and promotion, which, in development, recurring payments.
I totally agree. Like,
reward pool is there, but other reward pools like the Hive Engine reward pools, referrals, other tokens.
I totally agree.
So we will be doing those things. And as the nice thing is that as there are more focus on other ways for content creators to be, quote unquote, more pro, meaning they have more methods to make more money, that there will be less stress and angst and arguments about the high reward pool, because it will just be one small thing. It will never be what can sustain hundreds of professional content creators that have employees and all that stuff. Like, the high reward pool will never be at that point that it can sustain a ton of people, can sustain a decent amount of amateurs that live in countries with lower living wages. It probably already does sustain a lot of people in those types of places, and that's great, and we're happy about that. But with lots of other things, then the stress and the arguments that people have with each other won't be there, because it will just be some other one of the many ways that people make money. Anyways, so.
Well, maybe stress comes from inside. Like, stress comes from people, not from external things. Like, stress, 99% of stress is self-created.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it could help. So
perfect.
Go for it.
Yeah. Let's see what they're saying. Perfect. Okay. Let's go back to here.
Oh. Hey, Britton Josie's here.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Okay, so I think that's awesome. I mean, this video alone is great for our users to see. If you want to join me, and you could go to beta.peakd.com. This isn't a secret or anything. People know that it's existed for a while, but maybe you didn't. I didn't know. Over the week, we did some changes to UI design. Some are further along than others. But we're going to start with... Yeah, you can log in just the same. With, I don't know if you use Keychain or...
I use Keychain.
Okay, cool.
Thanks. Okay, I'm in.
All right, so, the front page is the same, but menus. We're doing a big focus on menus. So,
I see.
Let's start from right to left. We consider... And you had like, hey, maybe just the icon to save space. Also keep in mind, I'm on a very large monitor, which is kind of unfair. I should probably make it a little bit bigger. I'm on a 4K 40-inch monitor. So my recording doesn't represent what everyone does, which is a lot of people have small...
You want to design with the average user in mind. So if the average user has 1920, then we want to use that for our design. If the average user has 1028 or 1064 or whatever, then
All right. So one interesting thought was just have the icon to save the space from Jarvie. You could click on the picture, my icon, or this here to get to this menu. I mean, that's a potential way. I just know that there's a lot of users that have not changed their picture. And then you think, well, I guess if they won't have a name here, then maybe that will motivate them to change their picture.
Well, I would just insist they change their picture.
Yeah.
Like, even if you're going to be anonymous, like, you should put something there.
Okay. For now, it doesn't seem like it's taking up too much room, I guess. But anyways, let's look at this. We have sub sections of this.
Yeah,
So like all of these are regarding your profile. And we added the vote power thing up top. There's a give and take, like I don't want the whole thing to be about the Hive reward pool itself, but you know what? Like it's used so much right now, we put it in a very upfront and center place.
Yeah, I like it.
Whereas before I said, hey, let's not make it so up in front and center, but it was kind of like, you know what? I give in. Let's put it there. So
yeah, I like it. Why did you choose to make it blue and red instead of green and red?
No idea. That wasn't. We have had no discussion about the colors there. So
okay, well, PeakD uses blue, at least in dark mode, for all the links that I've seen. Yeah. And so this makes me feel like it's a link, and it makes me feel like it's clickable. Like you want to be consistent with your colors. So
okay,
if that's link color, it should be a link. I would make it green if I were you.
Yeah, let me write that down.
Oh.
Or is someone taking notes?
Oh, I don't know. It might be. I didn't clear that up.
Green on up vote power. Cool. All right. Yeah, and one of the things I liked about your mock-ups, they were so well done. My mock-ups are done in Paint and just give him just enough so that he can jump in and do actual things. But
yeah, mine were pretty detailed. They took a while.
Yeah, so pretty awesome. So we don't necessarily have we have the two of us who are both artistically inclined, but not designers.
Yeah.
So like, so things like, hey, look, let's try this color or the shading and things like that, or the different color here. Those are the types of things like, oh, cool.
Sure.
All right. So, or the icons, like we pull from a certain list that is open and free. And we just look through that list and grab things.
Yeah,
but if they're
awesome, right?
Yeah. I can't remember actually which one he does.
It's probably font awesome. It's a font, an icon font that everybody uses.
All right. So we chose to put in obviously my blog, if you want to go there, or all posts, replies, which I happen to never click because I look at for my replies up in the notifications.
Sure, but it's good to have both.
We added back in activities after taking it out for a while, but we added it back in because activities now has more interesting things because we did this totaling thing not long ago where you can do like, oh, what's my curation rewards? Okay, and it has loaded 8 days and I've gotten 61 HP. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
or what about my author rewards? Or
yeah,
what about your author rewards?
I didn't do a mock-up for activities pages, but like I would have liked to do a mock-up for this as well.
Okay, so you can load more. So last 8 days, there you got, about $60, $70. Okay. So yeah, back to this menu. Obviously, a lot of people will click to view their own wallet, and then I'll go into dashboard later because that's an entire different menu, right? It has a ton of different random things, and we've renamed it dashboard instead of tools, and I think it's way better now.
I did the same thing. I named it dashboard.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. Awesome.
Same page.
Okay. So then if you are in a small mode, which I don't think it's going to ruin the recording if I bring it up in small, if I resize my window here, but we consider notifications, chat, and create to be part of this menu. But if you have a big enough monitor, they will be extended outside of this. Does that make sense? So if your monitor is smaller and smaller, they'll go inside of this menu and they'll be at the top.
Yeah, I see. I shrunk my browser window just now,
Okay.
and they popped up as a blue banner, 3 icons at the top under vote power. So
okay, yeah.
But it's interesting that you've chosen to go with icons there, but not icons for the other things. Like, I don't understand how you decided what should be icons and what should be text.
They all have an icon.
No, but like Explore and My Pages and.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I gotcha. Okay. Yes, because you put a bunch of icons up top. I get it.
Right, and then when you add them back into the menu, you add them to a text menu, but you don't make them text when they join the text menu. You make them icons when they join the text menu. So I don't understand the justification or thought process or rationality behind this design choice. And so for me as a user, it's confusing. Like, I want to be seeing all icons on the top, or I want to be seeing all text in the menu, but I don't want to see them mixed like that. It's jarring.
Okay, that's fine. And I have been thinking about, the next step is to help people with smaller menus be able to have access to Explore and My Pages, and we have not made that decision yet. And so maybe it's icons, and maybe it's making the search page smaller and just have the icon here, which is the magnifying glass, that if you click on it, then it opens it up to a search, when they're on a smaller screen. So
yeah, I like it. I mean, we could get into mobile design and small screen design too, but I got the impression that PeakD was focused on a very functional web app, mobile enabled web app, and mobile focus was coming later.
Yeah, no, we have a pretty decent mobile interface, but and we take requests on how to make it better, and we know that a lot of our users are mobile, especially in maybe poorer countries. We've seen that there's a lot more mobile. So
I'm just saying I didn't do a mobile focused mock-up or design or post, so I apologize.
No, but I think what you're talking about is we could have an icon next to these two. Of course, these are new, so we have not made a decision what they would be, I guess.
Well, in my mockups, I'd go away. I would remove the text and just leave it as an icon.
Yeah,
just like you did with create and notifications and chat.
Yeah, so I'm showing it here. You have one for Explore.
Yes.
Which the compass is a cool one. I like that. So.
I try to use things that consumers are familiar with. So I don't know if you've ever used Instagram, but Instagram uses a compass for their Explore page, and so the compass has become like the default for Explore. Like, that's what it means to users, because they're so familiar with it. So I don't try to challenge that or be different, or I just try to let them be intuitive. Like, it's intuitive for someone to click the compass for Explore. And
I'm fine. I'm fine with either of the three. I guess this is where people could chime in. It or designer will take that. Your advice as a designer, but having maybe a icon here is fine. But if there's a lot of space when you get to be a screen size as big as mine that you could have.
And that's why icons are better. Like, icons are good for small screens. You just said everyone has small screens and poor countries have small screens.
No, I'm getting to it. So we could have icon plus text like we do over here. But then when you get down to the small screen, of course, then the text could go away or just be when you hover over it. And it's just the icon. So I like that suggestion.
Excellent.
As far as I'm concerned. And now that we only have two menus over here, right? And that would solve our problem for small screens or on mobile, right? Where we have just the compass, just the search icon. And then these would be relegated into this menu, of course, because if it's on mobile, there's very little space.
Yeah.
So let me introduce how we changed and the reasoning behind how we moved from um, 3 menus down to 2. Explore is for everyone. It doesn't matter if you're logged in. It doesn't matter who you are. This is a static drop down for everyone. So this is to get to the communities page. This is to get to the topics page. This is to get to the collections, the badges, and the most viewed, which may or may not remain because we may integrate analytics into everything we do pretty soon.
Right.
But these are the 4 kind of main ways to go through PeakD, which is communities, topics, collections, and badges. And then we called it advanced, and we said, hey, look, witnesses and proposals, which used to be over here, but this is for the user.
I like it.
And we have more, which is about us, and then the explore page, which is kind of another way to find stuff, which doesn't necessarily.
This is confusing. So this is confusing for a user because if the top tab is called Explore,
Yeah.
and then inside the Explore menu you have a PeakD Explore.
Yeah. So it's just a matter of like, this is another way to explore, and it should be called something different, but
yeah, you want to rename it, yeah. And like for the rest of the names, I don't as a designer, I don't really advise having weird characters on your menu options like C/ whatever.
Yeah,
whatever.
That was a design thing that we did a while back, and we're very happy about it.
Oh, okay. Well, then.
And it's worked really well to help people recognize. This is called a shorthand. So Reddit does shorthand. They have r/, they have u/, they have, and Twitter does shorthand. They use a hashtag. So we did b/ and c/, and it integrates into the way we do URLs, in the way that we show things, and eventually it will integrate when you use these slashes to help you to get to these places, but that's not a thing right now. Well, that hashtag is something that hashtag shorthand will get you to places. So it's a way of reminding users frequently of what these 4 things are. There's also user lists, but yeah, which
yeah, sure. If you're happy with it, that's great. But like for a user's eyes, like we scan alphabetically. We're looking for the first letter. It's like it's in our DNA. So like for me, I would put the shorthand on the far right. Like if you've ever used Photoshop, they have the shortcut on the far right, but they keep all the options at like proper words.
Yeah.
And if you go to Twitter's homepage, you'll see they have a menu on Twitter's homepage: home, explore, notifications, messages. But the shorthand isn't thrust into the words that people are reading. It's like it's an actual icon. Like the hashtag is an icon.
In my opinion, the words are less important, and the shorthand is the main thing they should be seeing. Maybe the shorthand should be bolded, and this should be just kind of like off to the side, like, oh, in case you don't know what the shorthand is, this is what it means.
Like for users, you want it to be intuitive. You said you want it to be intuitive and easy to onboard. And so for users, for tech users, like for coders and stuff, like the shorthand, for people who are familiar with Hive and PeakD, they're all about the shorthand. But for normal humans, like they're only familiar with words, and they learn the shorthand later. When I go to use Photoshop, like when I teach someone Photoshop, they're looking for new and open and whatever, and they learn the Control-N and the Control-O later. On Twitter, like a new person, they just click around and explore the content, and they learn the cool hashtag stuff when they become part of the culture. It's much less important and much less intuitive for most users. But if you guys are happy with it,
I will push back. I mean, I'm listening and I'm understanding what you're saying, but I'm playing a little more of the, whatever you want to call it, devil's advocate or angel's advocate. I don't agree. I think Reddit, you learn R. No, let me stop for a second. On Reddit, you don't even know what r/ even really stands for anymore. on hashtag, you don't recognize that represents what does that represent? Why am I doing? Oh, it's the tags, it's the topics.
Reddit is a community of tech geeks. Like, you gotta look at Instagram and Twitter and stuff.
And @ sign, they're like, oh, the ampersand, oh, that represents a user. Okay, so our other one is the ampersand represents users. So that's our shorthand for that. So
all good. Like, we can move on to other changes. Like, you don't want to make this change, that's cool.
I'm not making changes right now. We're listening and we're getting feedback with each other.
Hey, you don't want to write this note down. That's cool. Like, let's get to another change, man. We got stuff to talk about.
Okay.
I gotta go.
All right. So, and then in my pages, it represents, we are looking at a couple of different menu options, but this is the one that we're thinking about right now. Obviously, mine is excessive because I have subscribed to way too many communities.
Okay.
And I follow a lot of topics and badges.
I respect it.
I have a bunch of lists, and I have favorited no curators, apparently. One of the ideas is to obviously have, and this is not done, but allow users to add here, like there are probably plenty of people that have never favorited a topic, a badge, or created a list. So to go in and to do that quickly. And then we do not have a solution for small screens yet. We haven't looked into that yet. So
understood.
Thoughts on that?
I guess I would focus on encouraging people to do this. Like, I've been on Hive for, I don't know, 3-4 months, and like, I have a bunch of communities joined, but I don't. Every other column is blank for me. I don't know. I have 0 my topics, 0 my badges, 0 my list, 0 my creators. So to me, that would be like something I would look to solve with design. I would look to encourage this somehow through the UX or UI.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure what to say about it because I'm not even sure where this would be done currently, and so I can't.
Yeah. So
like where it should be done.
Yeah. So being able to like add in a topic that you like, like I don't know what topics you like, photography or Hive itself.
Yeah, so or I to add marketing, right? Like, how would I even add marketing as my favorite topic? I honestly don't know how.
No, and I've said that a couple times that we have not finished this, and the idea is to click a plus, and to write marketing.
Could you tell me how to do it? Like, I want to do it right now with you.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you can't do it there right now, but you could go to type in marketing and
oh, I see.
And go to topics.
Okay, so it comes from search. I would search marketing.
And then you hit this star, and that would make it a favorite.
Okay. I search marketing. Wait, where's the star? Oh, I go to topics. Yeah. Oh, now I see marketing. So I click the hashtag. And so now I click the star. Okay, so now that I know what to do, so I would say that is a lot of buried clicks to favorite a topic, right?
Yeah, so we want to put it right here in the My Pages where you could add it with just type in, start writing marketing, it would add it.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah, and that will be done. That's super easy to do. It just didn't get done over the weekend, so.
Oh, all good. No worries. But like even during like the Hive onboarding, like when I joined Twitter, it says when I first sign up as a new user, or when I join Instagram, it'll say here are a few users you may know, or here are a few topics you may be interested in. And so I have to go through it. You could say skip for now, but generally people will go through and favorite a few topics to get the ball rolling.
Perfect.
So
yeah,
I would explore something like that.
Yeah, definitely. That's on our to-do list to do.
Sure.
So when they give us and the thing is, when they give us their subjects that they're interested in, the hope is that we can provide them communities they may be interested in. Obviously topics, especially the word that they gave us, right? If they like baseball, then give them baseball.
Yeah, this will help a lot of people. If when they're onboarded, they get to choose a few topics or a few
and badges
or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it'll be great. I love it.
Okay, so that's the My Pages thing, and the blue line needs to move over, but it's just a bunch of things that I have to. Um. Okay, so I think that's most of what to be said there. If you or anyone has a different menu design, like idea here, that's fine. Maybe there's even the option to like click X so that you don't have this pop up. You're like, I just never want my curators to pop up in My Pages for some reason.
Yeah, that'd be great if you could tailor the columns.
Mm-hmm.
But
All right, so your favorite users feed is also here. It should be called favorite users, but I'll remember to do all these things later. So
all good. Favorite users feed.
yeah, so you can do the same thing with users. Click the star next to them, and then you would have a feed of just those users.
Oh, okay.
Also, you can create lists of different types. So and these are private lists, where badges are public lists of users.
Interesting. So,
But this
I don't
maybe
know.
technically should go over to My Lists, and it should be just a default for everyone. Favorite
Yeah, that
users.
seems like a better organization. Yeah.
Yeah. So there. Let's go over to the other menu, which is the dashboard menu.
Sure.
Um, dang it, it's not big enough. So there we go. I don't know if that messed up the recording or not.
All good.
But these are all the things we consider dashboards. So you've got PeakD settings. Obviously, you could go to it through here, just like you talked about Adobe products, that they always like. The mainstay of Adobe products is that you have multiple methods to get to an important place. So
yeah, I agree, and I love that. I just wanted to mention that on my screen, it's all icons. This kind of the same way I design my mockups, but on your screen, your 4K screen, it's text and icons.
Well, there you
go. So
this
is kind of what we discussed earlier, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So, it's jarring to me just to see icons because I don't know what they are yet. So I want to make them bigger.
All good. I get you. I just wanted to point out there's like a difference between what I'm seeing and what you're seeing, just so we're on the same page.
Yeah. Okay. I just made the window a little bit bigger. So
yeah.
Because I'm not familiar with the icons yet, because I don't look at icons as much. All right, so PeakD settings is also another menu that we are working on, but let's go to it. Analytics. There's the Hive account analytics, the views and visitors, which is going to change quite a lot because we're using a different analytics service. And this one keeps on failing because it's not built for.
Okay.
We just haven't made the switch over, but also things like publishing are here. Bookmarks, lists. The order can obviously change. Just kind of went with easiest things. Scheduled post is something that we do. So if they want to go in and check their scheduled posts for their templates or their drafts or go in and create a new post, is a link.
Sure, I love it.
Bookmarks, your lists, which obviously you've said you haven't done much with lists. This is where you'd come to. So now we have a section we call advanced, so that we would hope that users don't feel like they have to know what this is, right?
Yeah, I like that. It's a good label.
There's also referrals where you could get your referral URL and then also see all the people you've referred.
I covered most of these in my design too, right?
Yeah, you went over the dashboard, right?
Yeah, I mean my menu, like I covered all these menu options, so like you still have them.
Yeah.
You still have them in the dashboard here.
Yeah.
I had some of them. I had some of them in the main menu, but it's whatever. Like,
we just made it more consistent so that the dashboard stays the same with the left-hand column on everything except for user list, I think.
okay.
My list, yeah, it went out. So that should be shown as a link maybe. Or about PeakD
Yeah,
is a
that's
link.
a good idea.
PeakD status is a link. Node benchmark. Nope, it's still there.
Yeah. Maybe just mark which ones are links and which ones are panels.
Okay.
There's a little icon. It's like a little square with an arrow popping out of it. It's like for pop-up menus or like new page. It's fairly common.
Yeah, I think I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah, it's intuitive. Like consumers know this. If they see this, they will know. Like this will pop up a new page or new link or window or whatever.
Okay, cool. Yeah, like that one as well. Okay. And all right, so those are our menus, and the settings is going to have quite a bit of changing to it, but we've started with, and we're open to, I've already given some feedback that I think that these ones should be defaulted or indented more in, and that this should be these sections should stand out a little bit better. And I think that they should be collapsed as well, but you tell me.
Yes, excellent. Fantastic stuff, Trevor.
So, and then we're going to make it more options so that general is just not like, what am I actually getting in general? Like these things will change your Hive reward pool stuff, right? Like, click on this section for Hive reward pool.
Yes, clear language that tells the user exactly what they're getting is wonderful.
So we have not done. We've just took the same ones we always have had and put them in, but making them go down into a few more subsections that are very clearly worded is my thought. So
cool. Yeah, I love it.
Okay, good. Because you come in here, you're going to get overwhelmed. But if you look at one pop-up on you and then you have some to the side that it's like, oh, I want to change Hive reward pool setting stuff, click. Or I want to change the look and feel of PeakD, right? Will probably be the default one, right? Where you can change dark mode or some of these other things. Yeah,
I totally get it. I originally booked off 1 hour for this, but I'm gonna let it go to another half hour.
Oh,
then I
sorry.
really got it.
Okay.
So 12:30, good for you?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, cool.
So we really are very open to, like, these are the concepts behind some of these menus, but we don't pretend to be experts of how it should look, like.
Sure.
And looking back to this, if there is a better way of doing this, I am listening. I told you I was doing devil's advocate, and I am still listening to you, but maybe we could put it off to the side. And
all good.
It's fine.
I'm good either way.
Okay, so, but like, this is where we get to where you had even more design stuff, because we're looking at specific posts, right? So let's go find a specific post.
Yeah.
Which we have not done anything but on those yet, I don't think.
Sure, you've been focused on menus and stuff. That's all good.
Yeah. Also, this top title section, or whatever it's called, not exactly sure, in my mind, takes up way too much space.
Oh, yeah, I agree. It's like the sub-navigation.
Sub-navigation, that's a good word for it.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah, the sub-navigation takes up way too much space. I made it way smaller on my mock-ups.
Yeah. So in my opinion, it should take a whole lot less space. Right now, I totally agree. He's put it in the middle. I've thought about putting it to the left.
put it in the top bar. I collapsed the sub navigation into the main navigation.
Yeah. We saw that. It's very challenging. We'll
there's
still
other ways to
consider
go.
it.
I mean,
but yeah.
I get that it's easier said than done.
Yeah.
But at least we agree that the sub navigation takes up too much space, and there's definitely solutions, right?
Yeah. And the sub navigation also does other things that we want to be more consistent on, especially the order. Sorting, view style, refresh, and then sometimes there's filters. Not all the time are there filters, but on certain pages there'll be filters. So we want to make sure that that has a consistent flow, like they're always in the same order, and that we're actually we've thought about actually labeling that as well. Like, do people even know what this means, or should we put view style?
Well, so I have a suggestion. I mean, I don't know if you like it,
or sort style.
So I would pull the search out of the main navigation, and I would create a second bar right underneath the main navigation. Does that make sense to you? A second bar right underneath the main navigation. Very thin, very narrow. You with me?
Up here?
And so search would be on the left, or no, search would be on the right of that bar. And this other consistent stuff, trending and watch list and filters, they would be on the left. And so this secondary bar would be sort of a technical search and filter, and like it's a sub navigation bar, and all the main that would open up space on the main bar for even more things, because the search is now moved down into the secondary navigation.
Do you consider the trending, view style, and refresh and filter being part of
the secondary navigation? Yes. Search, trending, view style, watch list, filter, it's all secondary navigation. It's not the main navigation of PeakD. Mm-hmm. It's secondary. So it goes in a secondary bar, very narrow, right underneath the main navigation. And that stays there all the time too. It's very consistent.
Okay. And if you're in search and you're in a subsection, like if you're in a topic area, does it prioritize to search to that thing?
Yes, it's sort of intuitive, but you could even add icons or like a searching in text, currently searching in ... Like, since you have a secondary navigation bar, mm-hmm. you have a lot of space to play with.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So we have line 1, and then you're thinking of line 2. That is consistent.
Like line 1 is always there, and line 2 is always there.
Okay. And line 2 is telling them where they are. Is that correct?
Well, line two is everything that's not main navigation. So you could put breadcrumbs in there. You could put current topic in there. You could put trending, filter, watch list. Like, it's a lot of space to play with if you have a whole secondary bar, and all the other stuff is moved to the main navigation. Like, main things are moved to the main navigation, and secondary things are moved to the secondary navigation. And users will get used to it. It's intuitive. Like, oh, all the secondary things are always on the secondary bar. You can see it in Photoshop. Photoshop has a menu bar that is always there. It's a main navigation, and then it has an options bar that sort of changes with the tool. But people know whenever I change the tool, this is where I look, secondary navigation bar.
Okay, so tools bar almost.
Basically, yes. But search would be on there, filters would be on there, and it would change. It would be dynamic depending on what was necessary.
Okay. That's an itch. Yeah. Let me go back to see if anyone's responding to that.
Oh, wow, there's lots of stuff going on in the chat. My bad, guys. I love you all. I'm not too good on Discord and
yeah
stuff like this, so I apologize if I ignored anybody. Or
no, it's fine.
I'll try and go back over it later.
So you are putting search down lower because you know that it will always be there. Yep. Because you also would like to move certain things up higher.
Correct.
So when you get into a page like a topic page, which is what we're on now, you would put the name of the topic page up here, and the ability for them to perhaps, like, this little pencil will help them move to a new topic or whatever. I don't think the pencil's great, but I mean, whatever.
Well, me neither, but it's dynamic. Like, the pencil can stay there because that's post, right?
No.
Oh, no.
That's the problem. It's to change the topic page. No, so it's going to change. It's already been.
Okay.
We just
I
don't know
got
what
it.
icon to put there. So
All good. So for that icon,
we're just saying, hey, how do you edit the page to go to a different topic page?
yeah, I got you. These details can all be worked out. There's a million icons out there. We'll find one, but you get the overall point, is what I'm saying.
I'm seeing your vision. Let's see how it
Good.
plays out. Let's go to a couple of different pages, though. So we're on a topic page. Let's go to a user page, right?
Sure, yes.
So let's go to Rise. Well, I'm going to the page that's the hardest. You know that, right? Because there are so many aspects of a user page.
I totally agree. I totally agree with you.
And I think that's what you focused on in your design was we have limited it down to 3+1, but it's not even 3+1 because let's go to mine because I have added a couple more pages that I wanted, right?
Right.
I wanted portfolio and I wanted collections. So now we're up to 5.
Right. Sure.
So 5 plus the other ones.
So that's six topics there, or six options or pages or menu options, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would move the search down to a secondary bar, and I would put all 6 of those options up in the main navigation because they are the main navigation for this user.
So I'm seeing what you're saying.
Right. And then the filters and the watch list and the trending and whatever would all go on the secondary bar, the search bar, because they are things that influence and adjust what is currently being seen, but they don't navigate you anywhere else though.
Yeah.
Very similar to Photoshop, menu bar and toolbar, options bar.
Okay. Let's go back and look at your there we go. This is it, right? So the kind of compromises here is that the search is going down. We have only 2 icons, right? So we got PeakD, 2 icons. The search isn't even going to be on that one.
Correct. The search is going down.
The search is going down. So then we have the word profile and then the options. Do you move these 3?
Yeah.
Do you move these 3? Because there won't be 4, there'll be 3.
Sure.
If this navigational element gets really big, which is really only the case on profiles. So if it gets really big, do you move these out or do you collapse the profile and move more things into others?
So this main navigation on profile, to me, it like there's a problem if you're scaling up past 6 options or 7 options, like maybe 8 tops. I can't imagine a profile that would need more than 8 options, and if it does, I feel like it's poor code or poor design somehow, like poor organization. You know what I mean? Like you would only need 8 main things: portfolio, collections, yada 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 yada. Like, and so if you take search away, there is room for 8 options. Like you don't need more than that.
Well, we don't want to it goes back to the advanced sort of thing. Some of these are advanced.
Right, but you don't organize into more than 8 main categories of stuff.
I don't think we do more than 5.
Well, that's my point. So then you always have. My option leaves room for 8. I have left room for 8. You move the search down, and you have room for 8 texts up there. Mm-hmm. And so, like, it will never go. You'll never have a problem. Like even on profile pages, you will always have enough room to put the main navigation there.
Okay, so then the question is, what about small screens and mobile?
Yeah. So then for me, small screens use hamburger menus and icons. So if you look at mobile design education or teachings, like best practices is that you use hamburger menus and icons. This is what, like, YouTube has a million options, but if you go on mobile, you'll see hamburger menus and icons.
So we would have PeakD, we would have 2 icons, and then we would have all these 3 things would move to this menu, to the user menu. So we'd have 1 on the right hand side So
Correct.
it would open up stuff, but I don't know how much
But
it
then,
would open up.
so then blog, all, replies, and others would become icons. This is what has to be done for mobile design. Like you when you when you switch to small screens, everything becomes an icon. Period. That's just what happens.
Okay. All right. I see what you're thinking.
Right.
And then search it. We're limiting a little bit of vertical space, but in the reality is our sub menu right now is so huge. We're not really.
Yeah, you're actually up on the deal. Like
Yeah.
you're actually gaining vertical space with this design that I'm saying.
Yeah. All right. Let's see if it impacts any other. Let's go to following feed. There's not
Glad you're
much
testing it.
here. So what are you going to put up top? It's just going to say my following and that's it?
That's correct.
Okay. So sometimes it's navigational and sometimes it's just telling you where you are at.
Right.
Okay. And as you can see, there's a filter here, which it looks like he added more filters, or maybe it's been there for a while and I didn't even know. So.
Yeah, but the filter would go in the secondary bar because it's a secondary feature. Yeah.
All right. And there is no.
It's gonna be a super elegant navigation, like intuitive, elegant, graceful, great use of space. It's gonna work out.
All right. So you talked about profile. Let's take a minute or two on that, right?
Sure.
So let's go to whoever's on the page here with us. Define the dollar.
Hey everyone, thanks for being with us.
All right. So we changed it a little bit, as you can see. There's some more changes that are suggested. We moved stuff and we called it stats, and the I is too close to the border or whatever. We moved some things in here. We actually added some things. I actually would like to move the reputation, which I think, and a lot of people realize that reputation isn't really very useful. And in testing with new users, I've done some user tests of people that have never used the site. They're always confused out of their gourd about what this is and how it works and what it does.
I agree.
So
I agree.
We're going to move
it on Hive, and it was very confusing.
We're going to move it into stats and then maybe put a link to like what the heck that is, but no one will be like, I need to know what this is because it's right there. So
I love it.
I said that maybe followers and following should also go into stats, but there's a pushback, and he's like, "No, I think they should be there." So,
I'm good either way. It's most people expect to see it. It's intuitive. It's done on like every platform. If you go against it, it's a big change. But I'm open to your idea. Like I like your idea. I think it'd be cool to bury stats, bury followers sometime. But whatever.
We have a follow button. I saw that your follow button was smaller and over here. There's a menu when you're on your account, and there's a menu, again, menus so that you can get to the same places.
You're on someone else's account.
But I'm on someone else's, so we have called these advanced interactions, which is great, Don't need to know what these are, but they're super obscure. I've never even used them, so... economic interactions, so you can send them tokens, delegate, and soon you'll be able to do recurring payments, all that sort of stuff, right?
Right. So these would end up on either the main navigation bar or the secondary navigation bar, depending on which category you felt they belonged in.
Okay. So if you're on a user, maybe you have it in the main navigation instead of over here on their but we have room side to side when you're on their profile, but you just want to see more of the cover.
Yeah, like you want to use your space well is generally what it is. Because every pixel on the screen is value to the user, and it's either being used efficiently and optimally and well to give the user a fantastic experience, or it's being used sloppily and wastefully to make a coder or a designer's life easier. Mm-hmm. That's always the push and pull of UX design. And so my designs are all aimed at giving the user as much value as I possibly can in the most efficient and optimal way I possibly can. But compromises can be made, corners can be cut, yada, yada, yada. But you get where I'm coming from, hopefully.
Mm-hmm. Okay. His animation ran out, so I refreshed the page.
I love it. Great, great.
All right. Links to their website and their location, which seems to be a pretty Hive general thing. We didn't want to like. It wasn't our decision to store those in the metadata of a user. The users also get to store like an about, so we thought we'd share their about. So.
No, I love it. I think I left all that stuff in my mockup.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have my mockup on screen, but for comparison. But, oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
So I kept all that stuff, right?
But you put a 3 dot, which maybe is what we could do.
This is a common thing, right? The 3 dot is used on every post. It's used everywhere. It's used on other platforms. So it's an intuitive thing. So I always try to use intuitive things if I can.
Yeah. You've got a big eye here. Maybe putting that eye bigger. We just found that no one was clicking on the information.
Sure.
So we called it. We said, "Hey, do you want to?" So now we're enticing them more with calling it stats. So
yeah, I like that. Like I didn't want to step on too many toes. Like I just kept your little eye icon. I didn't know what it was for. But if stats is better, then go for it.
Okay.
A lot of this stuff should be split tested. Like if you're really serious about creating a great product or project or UX design, like you want to split test stuff.
Yeah.
If you think putting the shorthand in front is better, I think putting it to the right is better. Like it doesn't really matter. Like it should be split tested on like 2 different betas with 2 different user bases to find out what's best. Like this is what a pro like YouTube or whatever would do, right? They would split test it across multiple users and time periods and stuff. But for now, we're just doing the best we can. I don't think you have access to a lot of split testing tools. So
there's going to be a little bit of like concern about the solution for how the information for a user interacts with a cover picture is something that many interfaces have tried and failed, and no one has really come up with the best solution.
I agree.
And I mean, we'll still continue to look for a solution for that, and it may not be perfect to start with, but
I totally agree.
We will take, because this is the issue, because other places just say, our solution is we're going to give you a set amount of space and you are limited to that so that it always looks the same and we can have a cover photo the exact same size. And then it ends up impacting how big their Facebook is and all that stuff. But anyways, but people put covers here and sometimes you see more of it based on how big your screen size is and all that stuff. So it's
well, my solution scales. I'm pretty sure it scales down and it scales up.
It may just be that we try some of the other stuff and we try to tackle that a little bit later. But all right,
it's a challenge, but you'll get it.
So then we go to communities. So let's just go to photo games. This is going to have a lot of changes. Communities is perhaps one of the main products, in our opinion, of all of Hive and all of PeakD. So there's going to be a lot of changes to the informational section and the top section and stats. And some of these stats I don't consider very useful. But part of that is also HiveMind database providing us with better stats, right? Which no one has worked on HiveMind since the split from Steemit. No one has worked on the community section of HiveMind since the split from Steemit. So, but there we go. So I guess we'll get to that later since we haven't done much there, and there are navigational elements. So in your design, we'd put them up top, that sort of stuff. So I think we've gone through a lot of the main pages. I guess Wallet, you had suggestions too. And so you're saying that if we are consistently putting main navigational or where you are at information in the top bar, that putting all this stuff in the top bar would be the go-to. These 5 different sections of the wallet. Oh, we lost them. I can't hear Ryze, but he can hear. We hear him. Okay.
The stream has ended.
Okay.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah. I can hear you.
Oh, okay, amazing. Thank goodness.
I was talking for a while, and I was like, he's being very quiet. I think that I don't know where I left off, but I went over to the wallet page, which is probably one of our last pages to talk about.
Sure, let's do it.
So you consider all 5 of these sections as navigational elements that you would put in the top section?
I do, yes.
Okay. There will be more.
Sure, but
we do not consider PeakD as a Hive-only interface. We will have wallet options for other blockchains in the future.
Sure, but more than 8?
Don't know. Maybe sometime in the distant future. Obviously, it's not going to happen anytime soon because we don't have time to work on those other things.
Well, if it's not going to be more than 8 anytime soon, then I would say implement my design and cross that bridge when you come to it.
Okay. And you feel that because they are going to be so used to having main navigational elements up top, they will continue to look up there.
100%. Every user does.
Okay.
See it through every app all the time.
My other question is, why not put the main navigational element in the second line and put some of the other stuff in the top line?
So generally, whatever comes first in anything, like the first person chosen, or the first food served, or the first impression of a girl when you meet them, like anything that comes first is highest priority, or like the most broad view, most general thing. And whatever comes second is more detailed, more nuanced, more finessed, slightly less important, more topical, or more context dependent. And anything up top is more general and broad, and like, I hope I'm making this point well.
I have I'm just asking the question just to see how it would play out. Sure. All right, so we have navigational elements. Would you believe that then My Pages is right next to navigational elements, or would it be Explore right next to it?
Well, so the navigational elements would hopefully have a healthy amount of space between the other 2 sections. Like, they're not, like, I'm not sure if they're related or not. Like, I feel like
Explore is kind of the, it is the up above. It's a one step above whatever page you are in.
Yeah.
Explore is like the breadcrumb that is in a expanded menu. So I think we would probably switch the 2.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. Yes.
And then My Pages is just like this, oh, do you want this fun little shortcut thing that helps you get to where you want to go faster?
In fact, I would probably move My Pages over to the far right near the profile stuff. But it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, okay.
Whatever you want.
Is there any other page you want to talk about or thought? You go back to your.
I mean, there's a million. Like, I wanted to, like, the notifications and activities could be overhauled, and it's whatever. But
notifications is a system that is defined by the HiveMind database, and no one is working on that in the back end. There's no developer working on that.
Oh, I get it, but I'm just talking about CSS changes. Like PeakD can always alter the CSS for display. Yeah. So we can always overhaul the display of it. But anyways.
The post. Dang it! We have 2 minutes to talk about post design.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, so let me go to one of my posts. It is my proposal. I am also with you that the name of the post should be first.
Yes.
It may be jarring to a lot of users, so we'll look, and I'm not like,
Well, they're
it's,
familiar with other social platforms, and the name of the post is first on almost every other social platform.
yeah,
So
except
hopefully it's
for
not too
every
jarring.
Hive platform.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like I think they have to make an adjustment every time they come to Hive, and then they go back to their normal platforms. Like they get what they're used to everywhere else. So ideally, it should be easier for them, but I would split test it.
Okay, so one of the things that we are considering is this number for people that have done a voting transaction on the Hive blockchain.
Yep.
Is more or less useless for
Yep.
most everyone. So we would like to move it over into like stats that happen when you do a pop-up, and this pop-up will be much
Love
more
it.
advanced. So
I
the
love it.
idea is to move it to a up arrow, and put it next to the Hive reward pool number, because we
Sure.
want to put them together, because this arrow would impact this number.
Yeah, I love it.
And then we would put information about the Hive reward pool stuff, and then we will also put other reward pools in there that come from like Hive engine reward pools, right?
Second layer. Yeah, gotcha.
So when you click on that, it actually will end up being much more involved in the future, because it's like, oh, well, there's other reward pools involved. Okay. And stuff like
you
that.
guys are great. Like these are great ideas. I love it.
So that means that comments would be first in line.
Sure.
And then tips would get its own icon always there, because we want to push that aspect. It's not
encourage tips.
It's not part of the culture of the users on Hive right now, but we're bringing in a lot more people than have ever been on Hive in the future.
Yeah, I love encouraging tips. I would consider graying it out if it's 0, like making it slightly darker or dimmer. But other than that, yeah, fantastic.
And then there's reblogs, which I think maybe should go into the 3 dot. Maybe share should go into the main one. I'm not sure. So
yeah.
If we look at yours, you have a lot of information when you go into the post. I thought that was interesting. Maybe we could focus a little bit more on visitor count with our new section. We won't do specific, we'll do general. So like go up by 10s or 50s or something like that. So
okay, that's cool. Personally, I don't like the post popping up in a new window anyways. This works differently from most platforms that I go to.
Oh, well, that's a setting. You can turn it off. So.
Oh, okay. I should definitely toggle that. Thank you.
Yeah. You can actually go right here to this settings icon and turn it off right here. So
this is amazing. Thank you.
It's part of that transitioning people that weren't used to it, sort of thing.
Yeah, I get you. It's smart. Good way to transition.
Post outline, though, there's some things we could do with that. And
oh, definitely. My post outline looks super sexy. Did you see it?
Yeah. We'll see if it's doable. Obviously, everything we've talked about, we have to see how doable some of the stuff is. You've moved.
One of the main. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
You've moved a lot of things over to the left-hand side that we have on the right-hand side. But then again, you didn't know that you could not do pop-out. So.
True. So one of the main things on the post page here that I'm not sure if it's clear from my mock-up is that there is massive amounts of love and effort and energy put into CSS font sizes, font weights, and letter spacing and margin spacing.
Yeah.
So
maybe this is something he can talk to you about, or we can talk to you about.
Sure, I can talk to Asgarth about it, but like the mock-up is fairly clear about it. Like if you pay attention, you can see that, like visually see the difference in letter weight, letter spacing, margin spacing, font size, font color, font brightness. Like everything is meant to help, because it's just a page of text, right? So what do you do when you have a page of freaking text? Well, you have to give the user visual cues in other ways. You can't use icons and stuff. So you have to make every source of text have its own personality.
Yeah. And I'm not a font, whatever you would call it, snob or person, like, yeah.
Font elitist.
So I do know that there's a lot of arguments in font world, and if we change it, we're never going to make everyone happy. So
no, but there are font best practices that big companies have researched and used, so we can learn from them. Like, you can learn from other platforms and other things, like how they do font successfully, right?
Yeah. So. Okay. If there's anything else you want to say about profile page.
No, sir, I gotta go.
Okay. Perfect. I will stay on for a few minutes after the recording ends, or maybe even before, and answer any questions in AMA. But I appreciate having you on.
Yeah, thanks so much, man. Lots of love. Really appreciate it. Thanks for all your time and care and listening. And I'm really looking forward to see where PeakD goes. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we just finally had time to work a little bit more on design after spending so long on the hard fork and other stuff. Sorry. So
yeah, you've done a ton of work, man. I'm impressed. Just keep me posted.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
All right, much love. Peace.
Fontophile. Okay, so I am on the Discord page. I'll answer a few questions before I end the recording. So it looks like there was a period of time where you couldn't hear me or him, I guess. Let's go back a little bit. Scotter is agreeing heavily with Ryze. Sunshine Online, you've taken some notes. I mean, if he does a post or you do a post, we'd love to see it with your notes. Or if you don't want it to be public, you could send it to us private. In the first and second nav bars are persistent. They're on purpose. Shouldn't change. Don't go from a main nav to simple info. You may have to expand on that if you're still online. Sorry to find the taller. You'd like to see the ranking as well inside. I assume you mean inside of the stats system. I suppose that's fine. It's a very obscure Hive thing, but I guess it could be fun, and it wouldn't be too terrible inside of the stats section where people realize, oh, I don't have to know this stuff. It's just a stat. If there's a really good article, good system to really define dolphin, orca, whale, whatever it is, that would be important, because I don't think we want a stat there that doesn't have good information for the users, or that is intuitive. And obviously dolphin, orca, whale is not intuitive, so we have to have a good link. Okay, people want to see followers for sure, Scotter says. Okay, so that's another vote for keeping it there. I just know that I know they want to see it. I will say that. I know they want to see it. But is it healthy? Social media isn't always super healthy for everyone. And the fascination and with some stats aren't good. And I'm not saying we get rid of it, but do we put it default? Does PeakD make the decision to make that a default thing that's always thrust into people's face? That's, yeah. Chriselle is saying she agrees with the dolphin. This sort of stuff. Okay. As a curator, seeing stats is very important, especially when researching credibility and sifting through scammers. I get your point there. We'd also like to start introducing more visitor stats on posts, maybe even user pages and all that stuff. I think that has an impact for sure on what you're talking about with credibility, sifting through scammers, stuff like that. Okay, this is where we lost connection. And then Scotter, you're saying why in the world do you put secondary stuff? I asked as a question so that I could hear more of his philosophy. It seems a little aggressive what you wrote. And I got the answers and I got the feedback that I wanted based on that question. So this was good. Okay. The title of the post, you're responding to someone else there. Don't move the like button. Define, I feel like it may be moving, and I feel like there may be some pushback on that and readjustment period. And it's not a like button, it's a vote button, but we have a heart right now, which we had a reason for it in the past, but it may not be a heart button in the future. But it seems more logically combined that they are next to the thing that it's actually impacting. So if the button was next to the thing it's actually impacting, it seems more intuitive to me. Also, we're not removing it, but we're also saying on PeakD, interaction and content is more important than the Hive reward pool. I think it's a statement we're making. Interaction and the actual content being a benefit to other people is more important than the Hive reward pool. And that may actually be jarring to some people. And I can respect the fact that it's going to be jarring to some people, because to a lot of people on Hive reward pool is the most important thing to them. But on PeakD, the content, connections, true ownership of stuff, the content itself is the more important thing to us. Okay. Scotter, also, I know that you're a big Ryzeonline fan, and that's why we're on a call with them. And that's why I'm saying I don't know much about fonts. And again, seems somewhat aggressive. All right, you were talking about adding a secondary nav bar to be on all pages with the main nav, then topic page. You said the main nav would show that. I think you're responding to someone else. Okay. Again, aggressive, and I am not huge. I don't really care if the follower count ends up being on the main system. I am telling you what most people that philosophically think about this say about, I think it was even Jack from Twitter says he really wishes there was never a heart button on Twitter. And other people that have created, I've heard in these conversations that they wish that there was never even a heart button. We're not getting rid of a heart button. We're getting rid of stats. Oh, they also say that about the follower count. They wish they'd never shown it publicly. Anyways, but we're not getting rid of follower count. We're not getting rid of the vote button. Don't worry about it. Peak better. Fork time. I get it. Okay. Okay. I get it, Scotter. It's fine. It just, and sometimes some stuff is lost in translation. And yeah, it just seems like there was communication that I was sharing in between the lines that you were perhaps not recognizing. And that's fine. That's totally fine. I'm not hurt. I will probably forget that this even happened in 10 minutes. So we're all good. I'm going to end the recording now, unless there is anyone else that has a last-minute question or thoughts. I think most PeakD users will recognize that we are insanely responsive to feedback, and sometimes there's feedback on both sides. So we can't always, if someone wants something and the other person wants the exact opposite, obviously one person may not get it. So some of this will take a little bit of time. We are going to post this up on YouTube and on our site, and we hope to hear more feedback. If they like the idea, especially this idea that has been postulated with putting a navigational system up top and a sub-navigational, or it's not navigational, a tools submenu down below, and moving more towards icons and less towards wording, that sort of stuff. So that's where we're at. We hope to get a lot more feedback in the post and the video. Thanks everyone that was on the Discord live. We sprung it up on you with just minutes before we started. And thanks, Rochelle. I appreciate your kind words as well. And there are plenty of other things that we are going to do that I have not even mentioned. So look for a lot of things on community and a lot of focus on making professional content creators happy here, which includes money, opportunities that, as we said earlier, relieve stress on the Hive reward pool or other pools. So we're excited about that as well. And then marketing starts once things get more intuitive. Also, we even talk about the whole concept of the keys. Blockchain keys are what fundamentally, philosophically enables true ownership. However, we recognize that some people just want to comment. Some people don't care about true ownership. And they just want to write on your posts. Your mom wants to say hello. So one click, sort of like Facebook sort of thing, that is what you would call a custodial account, where they don't own their account because they don't have their keys. Again, if you have keys, you have ownership. But if they don't want to deal with keys, it's fine. But they won't have ownership, and they need to know that. But that's fine. They can just have a password. They log into PeakD with their password. They're not earning money, because we don't want to be a custodial of account with lots of money. They just want to comment. That's another thing. Also, helping them with resource credits and delegating so that they have resource credits so they don't have to worry about that. That's another solution. So there's plenty of things that we have to do before we start marketing, because you don't want millions of people coming in and having those problems and having a horrible time and leaving. So that is just kind of a teaser of what are some of the things coming out. I'm glad you are enjoying it and glad you listened to the end. So write your comments. You know that PeakD, you should know by now that PeakD, we give votes to comments. We give tips, write posts. If you do a post like Ryzeonline does, you will see we gave a substantial vote. We probably should have given a bigger one. I hope he's not offended. But if you do posts and you do mock-ups and you do videos and you put it into the About PeakD community, or you tag PeakD, or you come into the Discord and put it into helpful posts, assuming it's about PeakD, we're gonna reward you. So share your thoughts, share your videos, share your mock-ups, and have a good day.